And before you know it, we're right here. News to know, 6 cents. Use it. Mind, spirit, matter, the holy triad. Don't be afraid to eye top of that pyramid. That's just your power they've taken away from thousands of years of control. We're going to get into it right here, right now.
Tell you about a magical place called DARPA. The hummingbird is the only bird that can fly backwards. And so if we wanted to fly in this room or places where humans can't go, we'd need an aircraft small enough and maneuverable enough to do so. This is a hummingbird drone. It can fly in all directions, even backwards. It can hover and rotate. This prototype aircraft is equipped with a video camera. It weighs less than one AA battery. It's beautiful, isn't it? Wow. It's great.
The hummingbird.
Yeah.
Why did we think that this was the time to go biomimicry and copy a hummingbird? Isn't that a very expensive solution for a small...
We often talk about stealth as a means for avoiding any type of sensing, but when things look just natural, you also don't see them. It's like mini stealth.
It's partly the look.
Sure,
Especially,
sure.
Look at that cute hummingbird flying into my headquarters. I mean,
it would be inconceivable for us to do that work if we didn't make people excited and uncomfortable with the things that we do at the same time. It's just the nature of what we do. I'd like to tell you
the nature of what they do. That's all.
Apparently there's this whistleblower that went on 4chan recently, a couple weeks ago, and he's like, they found in this cave in Antarctica this egg-shaped UFO looking thing, which that's what we talked about a week ago. And apparently after this came out, it gave this one guy the courage to disclose the stuff that they found in Antarctica, supposedly, of this same egg-shaped UFO that they found. But what's also strange is we talked about the hieroglyphics that a lot of people reported seeing on these UFOs. Same thing happened with this UFO. Also, there's like a weird sarcophagus, very similar to the one that we talked about in Russia where that lady was in.
Yeah.
But yeah, that first picture, some of it looks almost like Hebrew.
Yeah.
That looks just like that letter in Hebrew. Apparently, they're calling him an alien, a tall, Nordic, very pale skin, long blonde hair, 7-8 feet tall, was in that sarcophagus, woke up, and was conversing with them. Apparently, there's a...
It's a project first dreamed up by the military to get information from the battlefield.
They call it smart dust, and the new technology may soon make it possible to keep track of anything, anywhere, including you.
Smart dust originated with DARPA back in the 90s. This powder-sized chip is something called the Mu chip from Hitachi. It's the smallest commercially available RFID system in the world. You can literally scatter this stuff like dust or embed it into a sheet of paper. It doesn't require a battery. Flecks of computing power settling on your skin, ingested, monitoring you inside and out.
The nanoparticles are designed to go under the radar of the immune system, and so they are undetected in the body.
We have computing everywhere, we have connectivity everywhere, we have infrastructure that can compute those with new capabilities like AI.
If you have enough data and you have enough computing power, you can understand people better than they understand themselves, and then you can manipulate them in ways which were previously impossible.
Transhumanism is a growing movement that aims to use technology to modify our bodies, sometimes in radical ways to make them stronger, faster, and better.
Don't forget.
It's a project first dreamed up by the military to get information from the battlefield.
Are you Michael Smith?
Yeah.
Are you aware of that there's a rumor on the internet that people are saying...
Yeah, it's not me, obviously. I mean, anybody that looks at my background, looks where I was born, it's not me. So the gentleman who took this video apparently tracked down Michael Smith to ask him what his thoughts were in regards to the fact that he not only looks like the Challenger astronaut, but has the exact same name.
I mean, it's interesting that the Michael J. Smith that was the astronaut looks something like me when we were younger, but really not.
Yeah, you just sure look alike. It's the same name.
I know the facial thing, but that's what we looked like, what, 40 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, what are the odds that the three on the top have an identical doppelganger living to this day that has their exact same name? And that these two on the bottom apparently have an identical twin that doesn't have any birth records. And this is apparently live footage of immediately after the Challenger exploded. They went to zoom in on the parents of one of the astronauts and look at their faces. It doesn't really communicate a grief. I mean, you could say in shock, but he's smiling. I mean, what is your interpretation of how their reactions are here?
And we're supposed to believe that 3 people from one space flight have exact lookalikes that have the same age and same exact names.
Sir,
Mr. Scobie
I'm going to have to stop.
Sir, this is a public comment.
I know what it is, sir. I'm very familiar with the public comment.
Will you let me finish for at least 10
No,
seconds?
sir, you're finished. Thank you.
You just violated the First Amendment.
I didn't violate the First Amendment.
you
You violated the
This
rules.
is a limit.
Officer, take him out also.
Let's just, everyone just calm down. They can leave willingly.
Wow.
No, we're leaving willingly. You don't have to remove us.
You just made a decision about NASA. You're making your decisions based. Well, you violated the First Amendment.
Are you Michael Smith?
Yeah. It's Saturday, I believe. And here's the truck I've been driving for the last few days for Wilson Logistics. This trailer just was assigned to us from Kraft over at the Kraft Foods plant, and we're delivering it here to what's called the Springfield Underground. And that is, as you can see behind me, this giant cave that's big enough to house hundreds of these trucks and trailers. There's a train track running through here. Just to give you an idea, back here, there's a regular sized truck. See how tall that is up there? It's just incredible. It's Saturday, I believe.
So ever since we've had this fog show up all around the world, people have been experiencing some strange things. I'm going to tell you what I think it is. I have ChatGPT here. I'm going to show you in one take, no edits. Let's see. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How can I help?
Explain to me with a little bit of detail what smart dust is.
Smart dust consists of tiny wireless sensors, each as small as a grain of sand. These sensors can detect and measure environmental conditions such as temperature, light, vibration, or chemicals. They communicate wirelessly and can work together to gather and transmit data, often in real time. This makes them useful for applications in fields like environmental monitoring, industrial automation, and even military surveillance.
So if the military wanted to use this to collect data from civilians or anything they really wanted, they could do that?
Yes, the military could use smart dust for data collection, including surveillance. The technology's small size and wireless capabilities make it versatile for various applications, including monitoring environments discreetly. However, the use of such technology would be subject to legal and ethical considerations.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
See how it's all in bands? It's like there's a band here, there's one over there. It's like that's how frequencies work, vibrations, sound. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You ever throw a rock into the middle of a pond? That's that, but just smaller water molecules, water mist.
So ever since we've had this fog show up all around the world, people have been experiencing some strange things. I'm going to tell you what I think it is.
Of some of the projects that DARPA has played a key role in over the last few decades. You've got the internet, GPS starting in 1959, virtual reality, satellites, stealth aircraft, UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, night vision, precision guidance, smartphones, even Siri. I mean, the list goes on and on.
It's a tremendous heritage.
And of course, the challenge for those of us who have the privilege of serving at DARPA today, our job is to make the investments now in 2014 that become those kinds of transformations for the next generation. And then on the enabling technology side, 45 years ago, DARPA did this sort of crazy experiment, which was to hook a couple of computers together and have them talk to each other. That was the beginning of the ARPANET, which became the internet today.
So Al Gore, eat your heart out, DARPA invented the internet.
So, Al Gore did a lot to make it the real internet that we've got today, but DARPA planted the very first seeds for that.
Yeah.
Al Gore actually had a company with a guy named something Blood, and the name of his actual company was Blood and Gore. Look it up. Al Gore, creator of the internet, also used to run around with a big bag, not called a football. He had BLOOD in it. He carried it around with him. Why? Because suck it. Okay. Next clip.
In 2012, DARPA, which is the research division of the military, started a program. It's called the Adept Protect P3 program, Pandemic Prevention Platform. Look what they proposed. They said, listen, we are going to use gene-encoded vaccines as a new category of preventive measures based on RNA or DNA, and in this approach, we will stop a pandemic within 60 days. Within 60 days, in 2012, this was started. When President Trump came out and said it's Operation Warp Speed and they're going to develop vaccines, it would have been nice if he was prepped, or Anthony Fauci.
So you guys know who owns the whole island next to Lahaina? This guy, Larry Ellison, that bought 98% of Lanai, which is this whole island right next to Lahaina. Who is this guy and how did he get so rich? The co-founder, chairman, chief technology officer of Oracle. Oracle is the third largest software company in the world by revenue and market cap, facing a class action lawsuit for allegedly deliberate and purposeful surveillance of the general population on operating a surveillance machine which tracks in real time and records indefinitely the personal information of hundreds of millions of people. Guys?
He likes
guys?
I know that's right.
I think that's the end of this video. You should go to the backup account if you want to see more. From now on.
DARPA was created in 1957-58.
I can't remember what it stands for, but basically DARPA is our advanced technology weapons, correct?
Defense Advanced Research Projects.
There we go.
Agency, another mouthful, DARPA. It began in 1957 after the Russians launched Sputnik. We got caught by scientific military surprise. That was like a bad thing. Herb York becomes its first science director. The reason Sputnik was so threatening, it was a satellite, the Russian satellite, the first one orbiting Earth. The reason it was threatening was because it takes a rocket to get a satellite into space. If you can put a satellite in space, pretty soon you can put a nuclear warhead on that rocket and hit the United States. That was 1957. That's where everything changed. And so Herb York wanted to know in seconds and minutes how long it took for that ICBM to get to the United States. So he hired the smartest guys in the room, the Jason scientists, about which there are extraordinary many theories. DARPA was created in 1957-58.
In 2013, former DARPA director Regina Dugan went on stage and casually showed off an electronic tattoo.
And it has an antenna and some sensors embedded in it.
No passwords, no fobs, just a signal pulsing beneath your skin.
Tattoo that could be used for authentication.
But when the key is your body, what happens when the lock changes? They don't need to convince you. They just need to program the next generation.
10 to 20-year-olds don't want to wear a watch on their wrist, but you can be sure that they'll be far more interested in wearing an electronic tattoo, if only to piss off their parents.
First, they'll brand your skin, then they'll rewire your biology.
So I take a vitamin every morning. What if I could take vitamin authentication? It means that my arms are like wires, my hands are like alligator clips. When I touch my phone, my computer, my door, my car, I'm authenticated. What this means is that that becomes my first superpower. I really want this superpower.
They'll sell you your own enslavement, one upgrade at a time.
Boy, keep in touch with yourself. Don't get the electronic tattoos. Don't get the DARPA. Don't get the hummingbird. Don't get the phone. Unless you're going to tune in the news too. No. Here we go. Next clip.
Obviously, start with the internet. That's a good thing. So
DARPA invented the internet.
Yes, absolutely true.
Wow. Did DARPA invent GPS?
Sort of. What we did is we actually got GPS into a small form factor. So that's what DARPA did. So the fact that you can have GPS in your cell phones or things like that was absolutely prompted by DARPA.
Okay, did you invent Siri?
Yes, Siri came out of my office.
But if you were to ask anybody in this country who invented Siri, they'd say Apple.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? I think we should ask Siri.
Okay.
Do you have your cell phone?
I do.
Well, let's see what she says.
All right, let's see. Siri, who invented you?
Like it says on the box. Designed by Apple in California.
Designed? Siri, what if I told you DARPA invented you? What would you say?
I think different.
Apple. They get all the credit.
Great.
You get none of the credit.
You know what? That's the best transition in the world.
It is? That's okay with DARPA.
Oh, yeah. Because Apple had a huge role in inventing Siri as well. It's not like I handed them a finished product. We handed them a bunch of technologies that were very useful, and it was their job to then take that...
Well, not useful, essential.
Yes.
News to know. Let's get back to it. Ow! Breaking news. Right here.
What we're doing is building a case for the American public under the Truth and Transparency and Accountability Initiative. And what I mean by that is AG Bondi brilliantly highlighted our partners, Director Ratcliffe at the CIA and Director Gabbard over at the DNI. We are working with them because the documents that would facilitate an investigation of this magnitude don't just rest at the FBI and DOJ. They're throughout the intelligence community.
Breaking news.
Don't forget, they're throughout
We have
the
spacecraft
intelligence.
from another species. We do, yeah.
We do not.
What if I told you that for over 20 years, the United States government spent millions of dollars training psychic spies? That the CIA, DIA, and other intelligence agencies believe so strongly in remote viewing that they built an entire program around it? You'd probably think I was crazy. But it's all true, and it's all documented. From 1978 to 1995, the U.S. military ran a top-secret program called Project Stargate. The goal was simple: train soldiers and civilians to see targets thousands of miles away using nothing but their minds. No satellites, no surveillance equipment, just pure psychic ability. And here's the really crazy part. Sometimes it actually worked. It all started with fear. In the 1970s, intelligence reports suggested that the Soviet Union was pouring resources into psychic research. They were allegedly training remote viewers who could spy on American military installations without ever leaving Moscow. The reports were terrifying. Soviet psychics could supposedly see inside the Pentagon, read classified documents, and even influence the minds of American officials. Whether it was true or not didn't matter. The U.S. couldn't afford to fall behind in what some called the psychic arms race. So in 1978, the Defense Intelligence Agency launched a small, highly classified program at Stanford Research Institute in California. They called it Project Stargate, and its mission was to determine whether psychic phenomena could be weaponized for intelligence gathering. The program started with just a handful of researchers and test subjects. But over the next 2 decades, it would grow into a multi-million-dollar operation, involving dozens of remote viewers and some of the most classified intelligence operations in American history. Remote viewing, as defined by the Stargate program, is the ability to perceive and describe distant locations, objects, or events without using the normal 5 senses. It is not mind reading or fortune telling. It is supposedly a trainable skill that allows the viewer to access information about targets they've never seen. The process was surprisingly structured. Remote viewers weren't given any information about their targets, just a set of random coordinates. They would enter a meditative state and begin describing whatever images, sensations, or impressions came to mind. The descriptions were often vague and symbolic. A viewer might describe something tall and metallic, or a sense of movement and machinery. It was up to analysts to interpret these impressions and determine if they matched. Real-world targets. Dr. Harold Puthoff and Russell Targ, the physicists who developed the program's protocols, insisted this wasn't pseudoscience. They claimed remote viewing operated through quantum mechanics, that consciousness could somehow access information stored in what they called the quantum field. Whether the science was sound or not, the military was interested in results. And sometimes, those results were remarkable. The program's most famous participant was Joe McMoneagle, a former Army intelligence officer who became known as Remote Viewer 001. McMoneagle claimed he developed psychic abilities after a near-death experience in 1970. His most celebrated success came in 1979, when he was given coordinates and asked to describe what he saw. McMoneagle sketched a massive submarine under construction, bigger than any sub the U.S. had ever built. He drew two hulls surrounded by a larger outer hull, a design that seemed impossible. 6 months later, satellite photos confirmed McMoneagle was right. The Soviets were building the Typhoon-class submarine, the largest submarine ever constructed, and it looked exactly like his drawings. Another star viewer was Pat Price, a former police commissioner who demonstrated remarkable accuracy in describing distant locations. During one test, Price was given coordinates for a Soviet research facility. He described underground installations, specific equipment, and even the color of a building's roof. Details later confirmed by satellite imagery. Ingo Swann, an artist and self-proclaimed psychic, helped develop many of the program's training methods. Swann claimed he could not only view distant locations, but actually influence physical objects with his mind. While his influence claims were never verified, his remote viewing abilities impressed even skeptical researchers. For nearly 2 decades, Stargate remote viewers were tasked with real intelligence missions. They searched for missing aircraft, located hostages, and tried to penetrate enemy installations. The results were mixed, but some successes were genuinely impressive. In 1981, remote viewers helped locate a downed Soviet bomber in Africa. In 1987, they provided intelligence about Libyan chemical weapons facilities. During the Gulf War, viewers attempted to locate Scud missile launchers and predict Saddam Hussein's movements. But for every success, there were dozens of failures. Remote viewers described targets that didn't exist, missed obvious details, and provided information that was completely wrong. Critics argued that the few successes could be explained by chance, educated guessing, or unconscious cues from handlers. The program's defenders pointed out that even a 20% success rate would be valuable for intelligence gathering. Traditional spy satellites and human intelligence also failed regularly, but nobody questioned their usefulness. By the 1990s, the Cold War was over and budget pressures were mounting. The CIA commissioned an independent review of Project Stargate, led by statistician Jessica Utz and psychologist Ray Hyman. Their conclusions were contradictory. Utz found statistical evidence that remote viewing produced results better than chance. Hyman acknowledged the statistical anomalies, but argued they could be explained by flawed methodology and experimenter bias. In 1995, the CIA officially terminated Project Stargate. The final report concluded that while some remote viewing results were intriguing, the phenomenon was not reliable enough for intelligence operations. But the story didn't end there. Many former participants insist the program was shut down, not because it didn't work, but because it worked too well. They claim the military moved psychic research into even more classified black programs that continue today. Today, Project Stargate remains one of the most controversial programs in intelligence history. Believers point to documented successes and argue that consciousness research was abandoned just as it was beginning to show promise. Skeptics maintain that the entire program was a waste of taxpayer money based on wishful thinking and poor science. They argue that any apparent successes can be explained by coincidence, cold reading techniques, or information leakage. What's undeniable is that for 17 years, the world's most powerful military believed strongly enough in psychic phenomena to spend millions of dollars researching it. Whether that faith was justified or misguided depends on who you ask. The truth about Project Stargate may never be fully known. Many documents remain classified, and key participants have taken their secrets to the grave. But the program's existence proves that even the most rational institutions can be driven to explore the impossible when national security is at stake. So what do you think? Was Project Stargate a groundbreaking exploration of human consciousness, or an expensive exercise in self-deception? Did remote viewers really glimpse distant targets with their minds, or were they just very good at educated guessing? The evidence is contradictory, the science is questionable, and the results are debatable. But one thing is certain: for nearly 2 decades, the US government believed that the power of the human mind could be weaponized. And maybe, just maybe, they were right. What if I told you that for
In 1987, 2 men were caught transporting 6 children in Florida under suspicious circumstances. Authorities investigated and found clear signs of abuse, coded documents, and evidence of international trafficking. By 1988, charges were dropped, the evidence was seized, and the case was labeled no longer a law enforcement matter.
For anyone who isn't familiar with...
In 1987...
For anyone who isn't familiar with...
A viral video making the rounds has utilized Google Earth's history tool to show what appears to be mass graves on Epstein's Island that were dug shortly after his arrest.
I physically held a key that opened.
So this dude, Bill Cooper, is probably one of the most famous.
DARPA figured out how to rewrite thought.
Elon Musk breaks his silence and reveals the shocking truth about who Barron Trump really is. In a surprise live stream that stunned millions, Elon Musk broke his silence and dropped a revelation no one saw coming. Seated in his office at SpaceX, Musk leaned forward and spoke with eerie calm. The world deserves to know who Barron Trump really is. According to Musk, Barron isn't just the son of former President Donald Trump, has allegedly the product of a top-secret government project known as Genesis Protocol, initiated in the early 2000s to engineer an ultra-intelligent child using artificial...
That's okay, we see real quick. Take me, let's do
If the Dems win this election, they will legalize enough illegals to turn the swing states and everywhere.
One of the examples that he...
When are you guys... Something scary is happening, and it's not just one city.
Now let's make this clear. TikTok, this is fake news. This is just my hypothetical thinking, opinion, whatever you want to call it. So Gitmo. There's just been a lot of theories about these politicians and celebrities being sent to Gitmo to be executed. So do you guys remember during the COVID period when you saw a lot of celebrities and politicians spotted with ankle monitors? As you can see, Hillary is modeling her ankle monitor. And we also can't forget about the infamous Ellen modeling her ankle monitor. But did you guys also remember during COVID when a lot of CEOs were stepping down?
Since 2020, a lot of CEOs, a lot of presidents, a lot of owners, either dead, stepped down, or charged. Probably. You should slow this down and look at some of the names.
Now that list goes on and on. So this list behind me, now if this is true, basically what I'm trying to get at in this video is if all these politicians and celebrities have been executed, then we've been literally looking at CGI and actors on TV. That's it. They're gone. These people are gone if this list is true. So TikTok, don't take this video down.
Cheryl, it's not a race.
That's what losers say.
What is that?
The truth. Every time a new baby is born, the Federal Reserve issues a secret birth certificate printed by a company called the American Bank. That way, the government can use people as currency to back the debt they have with the World Economic Forum, which owns the central banks of every nation on Earth. But the WEF is just a front for the Council on Foreign Relations, which masterminded the 9/11 attacks as a pretext to invade Iraq, take the oil, and install fast food chains to make people slow, fat, and easily abductable by the shape-shifting reptilian aliens it works with. Now, back in the 30s, FDR made a deal with these reptilians to exchange people for technology. That was the basis of the New Deal. But ever since, they've been slowly replacing all the world leaders to create a nuclear holocaust to make global warming real for their takeover. That's how they made up the Cold War, by sending Leica to space to bite Neil Armstrong while Cooper was faking the moon landing. Now they're using satellite waves, contrails, and measles vaccines as mind control, and fluoridating the water to keep people's gold fillings intact so they can be sent back to, you guessed it, the Federal Reserve, where all the gold and birth certificates are stored by the real puppet master, the world monarch, who is himself only the servant of the all-seeing eye who controls everything in the world.
I was wrong. You do win. Cheryl, it's not a race.
That's what losers.
DARPA has the Avatar Project. They have actual field robots. A soldier is in a bunker somewhere, maybe even 1,000 miles away, has a symbiotic consciousness link to the robot to control it. The robot has AI plus its own link, so it can make decisions and you can control it still. If the robot blows up, the soldier doesn't die. The symbiotic link is disconnected. They have the craziest tech. They have something in space on a satellite called the Rods from God. This is a satellite that I know of that exists. This satellite has 20-foot tungsten steel rods on it. These tungsten...
I had the same story in my very first podcast in 2020. Reaction video. It was my first one. Go check it out. I talked about the rods of God and do a goofy magic trick. Same thing.
Steel rods have no warhead, but when it's positioned over any country or any city, it can be released to within a millimeter of the point of impact. DARPA has the Avatar Project.
Starts kicking and moving. That's uranium. A lot of people don't know that.
I did not go to medical school.
I'm sorry?
I did not go to medical school.
That's what I thought. Why do you think you or anyone else at Twitter had the medical expertise to censor a doctor's expert opinion?
Our policies regarding COVID were designed to protect individuals. We were seeing...
You guys censored Harvard-educated doctors, Stanford-educated doctors, doctors that are educated in the best places in the world, and you silenced...
That's why they silenced them, because they were educated. Imagine that. Let's hear from the dummies.
Silence those voices. Did the U.S. government ever contact you or anyone at Twitter to pressure Twitter to moderate or censor certain tweets? Yes or no?
We have a program.
Did the U.S. government ever contact you or anyone at Twitter to censor or moderate certain tweets? Yes or no?
We receive legal demands to remove content from the platform from the U.S. government and governments all around the world. Those are published on a third-party website, and anyone can review.
Thank God for Matt Taibbi. Thank God for Elon Musk for allowing to show us in the world that Twitter was basically a subsidiary of the FBI, censoring real medical voices with real expertise that put real Americans' lives in danger because they didn't have that information.
That's right.
I did not go to medical school.
All right.
No, you didn't.
Mel Waters buys this property in Ellensburg, like the Monastash Ridge in Washington, in that area. And there's a hole on his property. And he sees that like all his neighbors are throwing all kinds of crap into the hole, like old washing machines and all kinds of stuff. They're just using it as a dump. And so he starts doing the same thing. They're all just throwing stuff in the hole. And after a while, he wonders, why does this not fill up? It's very strange. So he goes over there and he's just he can't see the bottom. He can't hear an echo. And he's out there investigating with his dog. And he's looking and he looks and his dog won't come close. Like his dog is will not come near the hole. And he looks up and birds are flying around it. Like nothing wants to come near this hole. So he wants to figure out how deep this thing goes. And he's a fisherman, so he puts fishing line down there. And he's got 5,000 feet and he doesn't hit bottom. He does another spool. He's got 10,000 feet. He ties lifesavers on the bottom of it to put it down there to see if they'll come dissolved. Maybe it's a well. 20,000 feet, 50,000, till he hits about 16 miles of line down, and he doesn't hit the bottom with it. So he
16 miles
16
of line.
miles of line. So
16 or 60?
16.
Jeez.
And he notices
Is there a difference?
His radios are acting weird. When he's out there working, he's listening to his radio, and when his radio's near the hole, he's picking up these strange things, like he's hearing old time music, which doesn't make sense. And then he tunes a little bit and he catches a baseball game. He listens to that for a minute and realizes it's a game from 30 years ago. So something is affecting time around the hole. So at this point, he calls into Art Bell at Coast to Coast. I don't know if you remember Art Bell in that show.
Oh, yeah.
Right there. So he's telling Art this story about how weird this hole is. He talks about how one of his neighbors, his dog died, and he threw the dog down the hole. And the next day, he sees his dog running through the woods with his collar on, but he won't come. It's like he acts like he doesn't know him. Like the hole is doing weird stuff in the area. So he talks to Art Bell a little bit about it, and then Art is trying to get in touch with him and can't, and then finally does. And Mel Waters says, "I wish I never called you." He said, "So I talked to you," and he was out of town for that interview. He said, "I got back into town. I couldn't get on my property." He said there was heavy machinery there. There was military there. They wouldn't let me up. Some guy in plain clothes came down and said, "You can't come in here." I said, "Why? This is my property." He said, "There was a plane crash, so we have to investigate it. There's no evidence of a plane crash. There's no news." And Mel starts to get kind of upset. It's my property, my land. And then the guy in plain clothes says, "I'm not saying we will, but we could find a drug factory or something on this land. I'm just, saying that could happen if you want to press this." And Mel Waters said, "I'll go to the press." The guy's like, "Tell whoever you want. No one's going to believe you." And he gets run off his property. And you don't know if it's a hoax or not, but Art Bell talks to a news crew that goes to the property, and they find evidence of tractor tracks in the mud and evidence that there was a military presence there along with machinery. And it's still all blocked off. Mel is eventually contacted by some intelligence and offered a deal. $2 million, you leave the country, you never come back, and you lease us the property, sell us the property. You just never come back. So Mel goes overseas for a while. And this story on Art Bell is 10 years that he checks in. So Mel is overseas. He's in Australia. And it's something like his niece is graduating, so he wants to come back. He's not supposed to come back at all. But he decides to come back anyway. And he's taking a bus. He lands wherever, and he's taking a bus. And there's some type of issue where breaks out of the bus. There's a fight or something. The bus pulls over, and everyone gets off, but he's not allowed off. Like they're holding him back. They get everyone off. A couple of guys kind of grab him. He feels like a pinch, and then he blacks out. And he wakes up 12 days later, and he's in San Francisco in an alley, and he doesn't know what's happened for the last 12 days. And he tastes blood in his mouth, and he realizes his back teeth are missing. Like it's a crazy story. And he's telling all this to Art, and Art helps him find a place to stay. And he says, "Art, I just got contacted from native tribe and the people who are called the Basque. I don't know if you know the Basque. It's a region between France and Spain. It's a little area people call the Basque. It's a small community, but it's very unique. So a lot of Basques settled in Nevada in like the 19th century. So this native tribe is working with the Basque, and they call Mel, and they want him to come out because they found another hole. Story gets weirder from here. So he goes out to like consult with them about the hole, and that hole is different. Mel's hole was about 9 feet around, 9 feet wide with this stone retaining wall. This hole is 9 feet, but it's got this metal collar, and it's metal all the way down as far as the eye can see. And it won't vibrate at all. Like Mel drops a tool or something on it and it doesn't make a sound. It's very strange. The tomb are open, and inside is what Mel described as a fetal seal, like the fetus of a seal with human eyes. And it's looking at them. And they kind of just set this seal looking thing out for a while. They're looking at each other for a couple of hours. And then it eventually kind of inches its way back down into the hole. And once it does that, Mel, who had esophageal cancer, is now cancer-free. Like everyone who is sick in the village is now healed. And the people there think this is some like divine thing that with this, they call it a magic seal. And they believe that it's communicating with them through this radio in like some type of Morse code. They don't know if it's alien language or not. And he's telling Art that I've got pictures of this, I've got recordings of it, I've got all this stuff, photographs. And they finally set up an interview to go over all the evidence, but Mel never shows. And Art is never able to get a hold of him again. And that's kind of where the story ends. And, it starts out like a really interesting story, but the theory, at least what I came up with, was the story just got so, I left out so many crazy details because how much time do we have, that the story was getting so out of hand that I don't think he could keep up with the hoax anymore. And he's just like, I can't, how do you top magic seal fetus that heals cancer? So that was a story that I went into just because I liked, I'm a huge Art Bell fan, and that's a classic Art Bell story. That's one of the top ones. I wish it had a better ending. It's so anticlimactic, but it just was such a fun journey, and it's so many opportunities for jokes in there and stuff. I have a T-shirt on the. It's one of the most popular shirts. It's I went to Mel's Hall, and all I got was this magic seal fuse. I wear it all the time.
You have committed assault on my body.
Watch how this famous Netflix actor from Cobra Kai completely embarrassed himself when he bit his own colleague on set.
I was just playing because we're very playful together, and I bit down too hard, and I meant to just...
She's got a mouth mark on her. It's felony assault. I want to be very clear in front of everyone here. Martin, you think it's funny to play with people. We are colleagues. I have played with you on set. You try to justify it because I don't think you understand that you cannot bite other humans. So I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on in your brain, but for you to get outraged at me is completely and utterly inappropriate, and honestly, I'm ashamed of your dignity as an 80-year-old man to scream at a lady that you just bit. You say that we're friends and that we play. When have I ever bit you?
I guess he took strike first, strike hard, no mercy too seriously. But unlike him, his colleagues showed mercy by refusing to press charges and letting him walk away with just a warning.
You can't just walk up on me and ask me my ID, bro. I ain't doing anything wrong. No, leave me alone, dude.
Listen. Watch how these dumb cops arrest an innocent man and tear apart his car just because they thought he received cocaine from his coworker in the black car.
What'd that guy hand you? Nothing. A cigarette? He handed me a cigarette. Talking about my buddy Ronnie?
You talking about the...
Yeah, I work with him, bro.
The Cadillac?
Yeah, I work with him.
Okay, well, the issue I got is there's an off-duty he was watching, all right, man?
Dude, all he handed me was a cigarette.
So you're telling me the off-duty, what he saw was bullshit?
I don't care what off-duty said. Get away from me, bro. None of that happened.
The officers arrest him and search his car. But after tearing his car apart, they find nothing. They realize they're in big trouble, so they mute their body cams and discuss what to do next. And that's when they decide to charge him for obstruction of justice and resisting arrest. Do you think these cops should be punished?
Absolutely. Dumbasses.
That's what. What about a title? You don't own your car. You don't own a car. No, you don't. You have a certificate of title. You don't own your car either. The state owns it. See, here's the thing. All right. Let's tell you a little story. I happen to like Chevy crew cab, long bed, Duramax diesel trucks because I like farming and ranching. Okay? Yeah. If I walk into a Chevy dealership, it's called an automobile dealership, right? It's not called a motor vehicle dealership because it's not a motor vehicle when they sell it to you. It only becomes a motor vehicle when you title, license, and register it. Before that, it's an automobile. It's private. Who was our first car insurance company in the United States? It was called Travelers Insurance. It was designed for travelers. That's what we are. We're travelers. We travel from point A to point B in our private business affairs 99% of the time. Okay?
I'd like to go ahead and travel free on my way. Sinclair.
You walk into an automobile dealership, if I laid out $75,000 cash for a brand new crew cab Duramax diesel pickup, and you might be 80 by now, at that moment in time, I own that truck. But the minute the salesman looks at me and says, I need another $250 for title, license, and registration, please, and I give him another $250 instead of that stack of $75,000, that's the moment I gifted that pickup to the state. He fills it out, he sends it to the state. He sent the state the title, and you get a certificate. A certificate means there's a title out there somewhere, but you don't have it. You don't have it. You don't own
nothing.
The scariest.
Be happy.
Rumors that behind the wall in Antarctica hide a whole unexplored city have been around for quite some time, but primary evidence that it exists appeared only recently and only in Darknet. As far as is known, Antarctica is considered the coldest and most unfavorable continent for any tourist. Monstrous wind gusts that literally knock people off their feet and impassable snowdrifts limit any travel for ordinary people. However, at the same time on the continent is located to an insane amount of equipment, of military and scientists from different countries. And such activity in Antarctica is not without reason. Everyone knows that there is an ice barrier, the length of which is thousands of kilometers. In some places of this barrier, there are tunnels where you can sail freely even on a huge ship. And just like that, they are very strictly guarded. And secretly from us, there's still work going on and something is being studied. However, these vague shots, which accidentally leaked into the network, shocked many people. This is not a polar explorer's base as it seems at first glance. When the video was brought as close as possible and the blurriness was removed, it was discovered that the footage showed a real ice metropolis.
And you can believe that because
Grader spent her summer building a presidential family tree, and she discovered that every single United States president, with the exception of one, were all related. And all of them, every single one of them.
that's what the weatherman calls relative humidity. Closer kin, he's going deeper in. Here we go, back to the clip.
Are descendants of one single person, the former King of England, John Lackland, who signed the Magna Carta in 1215. Nobody had put this together before because most genealogists only focused on the male side of the family. But she went ahead and put together the male and female lineage of every single president and discovered that every one of them are related, except for Martin Van Buren. This is something that definitely makes you look at the big picture a little bit differently. Check this out.
George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, William Howard Taft, and President Barack Obama. One young girl traced them all back to one common ancestor.
They're all cousins and all grandsons of John Lackland.
It's the first family tree of its kind, pouring through more than 500,000 names for months. 12-year-old Bridge Ann d'Avignon discovered that all the U.S. presidents, except Martin Van Buren, are related to the former King of England, John Lackland Plantagenet.
Mildred Reed is his first great-grandmother on George Washington. Obama, Mildred Reed, is the 10th great-grandmother.
She started with George Washington, but unlike other professional genealogists that only looked at the male family lines, Bridge Ann was able to link the presidents together using both male and female ancestry.
The government has some
and you ain't in it.
Planning to do. government has some explain.
Yo, look at this. Look at this right here. You see this? This is a cloud, right? It's supposed to be gas.
That is a
How
cloud.
does a gas? How is it? How does it have a shadow? Look, that one has a shadow too. How? Yo, look at this. Look at this right here. You see?
Something was uncovered last week.
This is a video of a man who claims to have been exiled from the ice wall. He says that
I opened the box, and this is in it. And it has some very KKK's cross. Fucking. This was in my box of Velveeta.
I was on Snap Maps and discovered something interesting today. The government states that Antarctica is uninhabited and covered in ice. I kept exploring and saw more videos showing that Antarctica is not in fact covered in ice. In the next video, you will see a group of teenagers and what looks like one telling them to stop recording. And lastly, someone asking for help, maybe some sort of government prisoner. I was on Snap Maps and discovered some
car accidents. There will be no accidental fires, no accidental explosions, no man-made earthquakes, car accidents.
Guys, you know how I say they love to put the truth in plain sight? Now, this is exactly what I mean. Watch this.
Blow up, it's not always an accident. What do you mean, not an accident? Who is this guy singing? And who am I, a conspiracy fly? Did you know NASA means deceive in Hebrew? I did not. The Denver airport was built by the Illuminati.
Now, is it just me or did that fly just say NASA means to deceive in Hebrew? Now I'm about to show you how NASA is trolling everyone. So we are in the book of Genesis chapter 3, verse 13. This is where Satan deceived Eve to eat the forbidden fruit. And the Lord God said unto the woman, What is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. Let's just take a closer look at this word beguiled here. And the Hebrew translation for beguiled is, well, you guessed it, NASA, which means to lead astray, to delude, to beguile, or to deceive. So NASA literally means to deceive. You guys ever wondered, like, what is this red thing going through NASA's logo is? Well, let me show you. Yeah. But did you guys also know that if you type in flat earth backwards into Google, you're not gonna believe what pops up. Look at this. NASA.gov. Must be a coincidence, right?
That's
and
right.
Of course, all this was for entertainment purposes only. Of course, NASA doesn't mean deceive in Hebrew. And of course, that red thing going through their logo is not a snake's tongue. Of course it's not. But what
You are not ready for how diabolical the McFlurry conspiracy rabbit hole really is. You know the story. Show up to McD's, make your order, throw a McFlurry in there, and get hit with the, "Oh, sorry, our ice cream machine is broken." It's not just you. This was happening to everyone. The McDonald's ice cream machine is just always broken. Well, I found out why, and it turns out big corporations are literally conspiring against customers like us, and it's darker than you think. This isn't even a theory, as we have direct evidence of everything they did. We're talking court documents, emails from CEOs that proves it's all real. And a recent lawsuit reconfirmed everything once again. The infamous McDonald's ice cream machine being down became so common it turned into a meme when people all over the internet constantly complained about it. Well, someone ran the numbers and it turns out that about 15% of McDonald's ice cream machines are down at any given time, which is kind of a lot. They even tried covering it up a few years ago by debunking this myth, claiming it was just as a result of a daily cleaning cycle the machine had to go through, during which time it was unusable. But the cleaning cycle is only 4 hours long and typically done at closing, which does not account for the high rate of failure reported. Remember kids, never trust a debunker. Well, this is their ice cream machine, made by a company called Taylor. All McDonald's owners are required to buy their equipment from them, company policy. Now, in 2017, Taylor reported that 25% of the revenue came from recurring parts and services, basically fixing their machines. And let me tell you, 25% is a lot, as another report showed that maintenance and repairs accounted for for $170 million of revenue per year for Taylor. And hey, this is barely even the tip of how devious their operation really gets. Because their entire business model is essentially scoring exclusivity deals with big chains, so franchise owners are forced to buy their products, selling them faulty machines that need constant fixing, charging them heavy fees for repairs on a recurring basis. So McDonald's franchise owners put off the repairs of these machines for as long as they can, because their cost for repair often outweighs their revenue from ice cream sales. You see, it's the franchisee owners, not McDonald's corporate head office, that pays for these repairs. Basically, when you want to open your own McDonald's restaurant, you sign something called a franchise agreement with McDonald's corporate, where you agree to follow all of McDonald's rules and standards in exchange for being able to use the McDonald's brand for your restaurant. Franchising 101. In this agreement, it explicitly states that you have to buy your ice cream machines from Taylor. Oh, and only Taylor is allowed to fix your machines as well. That's called an exclusivity deal, which can sometimes turn into a bit of a legalized monopoly. So Taylor is their sole provider of machines and repairs and can essentially charge any price they want for their products and services, which leaked invoices show can go as high as $315 per 15 minutes of additional labor over the first 30 minutes. So a 3-hour repair job can cost over $3,000, which how that's not price gouging, I have no clue. But that's how Taylor makes their money. McDonald's corporate doesn't care because they're not paying for the repairs and probably have a multi-million-dollar exclusivity deal with Taylor, who shares a portion of their profits with them. So Taylor kinda has an infinite money glitch, selling fuck-ass machines that need constant repairs paid by the franchise owners who can't even buy their machines from anyone else. But even that is just the tip of what they're really doing, and they just keep on going deeper even when we try to get them to stop. Enter Kitch, a startup company that created a device that you can plug into Taylor ice cream machines and override their computers to fix any errors they're having, meaning you can fix them without calling Taylor for repairs, which they definitely didn't like. Because Kitch realized that Taylor actually intentionally installs flawed code into their ice cream machines to cause them to malfunction without informing the user what the error even is. And while Kitch was testing their product on Taylor machines, Taylor actually tried to steal their product 3 times, which were outlined in court documents. First by a Taylor distribution manager directly, then by one of their lawyers, and finally by 2 private investigators hired by Taylor using aliases and dummy email addresses. These guys were treating this like a fucking bank heist. They were not messing around. When these attempts failed, they actually conspired with the McDonald's franchise owner to work with them by enrolling him in a Kitch trial. The franchise owner's name was Tyler Gamble, and he told Kitch that he was head of McDonald's equipment team and wanted to bring Kitch's product into every McDonald's. But it turns out he was actually a spy for Taylor, and it was all a ruse. Gamble got his hands on a Kitch device and used it to reverse engineer their technology, and he purposely kept the device disconnected from the internet for weeks at a time while he took it apart so that Kitch wouldn't catch on. When the device came back online weeks later and the SD card was 90% full, Kitch caught on. But it was already too late, because coincidentally a new product came out just shortly after by a company called Powerhouse Dynamics, which is owned by Middleby Corporation, the parent company of Taylor. And it did exactly what the Kitch device did, but with less information provided to the user, more restrictions added. And now McDonald's franchise owners are forced to buy this inferior product from Middleby instead of from Kitch. Middleby stole the device blueprint from Kitch and made it their own. So in 2021, Kitch actually sued that McDonald's franchise owner and Taylor for almost $900 million on the grounds of Taylor trying to conceal a multi-million-dollar repair racket, which is exactly what this was. This is some straight mafia shit, and emails prove all the big suits were in on it. Because back when Kitch was trialing their device, McDonald's head office sent out an email outright telling franchise owners not to use Kitch because it wasn't safe, making up complete lies that the device can cause serious human injury just to scare owners away from using it, when in reality it would have just saved the franchise owners a ton of money. But McDonald's corporate has a multi-million-dollar exclusivity deal with Taylor they need to protect, who makes a lot of money selling and fixing their bullfuck ice cream machines. A leaked email from the CEO of Taylor's parent company, Middleby, straight up said that he was trying to stop Kitch's device from gaining traction. 2 weeks later, McDonald's sends out their email calling Kitch's product dangerous. What Middleby is doing is called corporate espionage to gain an unfair market advantage, and there are actually a collection of antitrust laws to prevent this from happening. But clearly, if you have enough money, laws don't apply to you anymore. Because all that companies like Kitch are trying to do is save McDonald's franchise owners money by making ice cream machine repairs more affordable, so that they can be more profitable and customers like you and I can have our mother Smarties McFlurries when we want them. But no, big corporations like Taylor would much rather literally snatch ice cream out of the hands of children and keep their ice cream machines as broken as possible so they can make more money. Remember that the next time they tell you their ice cream machine is down, knowing that multi-billion-dollar companies are by definition conspiring against us, the consumer. And people say conspiracies aren't real, huh?
All right, you guys. Thanks for tuning in. News to know. 6 cents. Have it, get it. Tune in, look at them, and drop out. This is News to Know. I'm Jody, and I'll see you next time.